Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I start the first session of my interview series, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Amethysta, who is a trans thought leader and a writer on Medium. She is also an editor and has been the recipient of multiple boosts from Medium's new Boost program. And I thought she would make a great chat subject to talk about her experience on Medium, what it's bringing to her goal of thought leadership in the trans world. And we talked about all of that, and here it is. All right. Hello, Amethysta.
Hey, Robin, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining me. You are my first YouTube interview guest. So thank you so much for willing to be my guinea pig.
I'm already a little worried, so
Oh, you probably should be. I'm kidding. For anyone watching, Amethyst is actually a good friend of mine, and we talk all the time. All right. So I thought you would be a great first subject for my YouTube interview series, because a lot of writers on Medium are sort of, a lot of people are hobbyists and just sort of sussing things out and seeing how they go. However, you have a bit of a different experience and journey and goals with it than some other people do. So you are a trans writer and looking to be a thought leader and do some different things. And you left a successful career that you were well educated in to pursue this
very
new trend.
lucrative. Yes, very lucrative career to come to
Yeah.
Medium.
Yeah. So can you tell me sort of how you got started on doing that and why you made that decision, what you're looking to do with it?
Yeah, gosh, it's fun. So I figured, this would be one of the questions. And I started asking myself, why did I do this? Because when I came into this, first of all, so the main thing, I transitioned gender in 2022, and which starts with, at least typically it starts with some sort of medical intervention. I started getting estrogen patches, so I slapped a patch on my thigh. That would have been great if I could have said slapped a patch on my ass, but I put them on my thigh. If I'd known down the road, I should have, I could have made a good joke. I would have put them on my butt, but I can't make the joke. So when I started that, though, I got these really big cognitive changes, and I thought, I need to write about these. And I don't really know why, because I've never been a professional writer. My background is science and technology. I grew up very geeky. The you know Nobody liked me, pushed in the mud because geeky, and I never thought of myself as much of a performer or even just somebody who communicated outwardly. And so when I started writing on Medium, I mean, honestly, no expectations, really none, because what I figured was going to happen was that a couple of people would read what I had to write and go, yeah, don't give up your day job. You're in software, yeah, why don't you? This is why we have English majors. But it seemed to work, and at the very least, I had a couple of mentors who sort of said, well, here, focus a message like this. Over the course now of almost 10 months, I guess it'll be 10 months in a few days, I did
Nice.
hone a message. And I mean, it wasn't easy. I've got I'm looking at about 100 substantive articles on getting my message to a place where I wanted it. But yeah, now I'm looking at the idea of being a thought leader. I don't even, I was actually talking to a consulting company earlier today because I said, do you want me to leave your Slack workspace? I don't mind going. And the
This
person
is
who
from the tech.
responded said,
This
yes.
is from the tech or the
Yeah,
software.
sorry. I should have made that more clear. Yeah, that this was a technology software consulting company where I had worked before. And I said, do you want me to leave? And she goes, well, I don't know. I mean, what if you need something from us? And I wanted to go, oh, I won't, honey, really. So I'm not coming back to software. Don't worry about it. I didn't leave because I thought, well, I don't want to close any doors, right? But at
Or
this
burn
point now,
bridges.
right, definitely don't want to burn bridges. But at this point, like I enjoy writing. I enjoy communicating, with you, with the rest of the Medium community. I mean, like I found more than a purpose, like a oh gosh, this is gonna sound so cheesy, like it's gonna sound like a Tony Robbins like thing, but I found like a purpose, I found a meaning, and I found a community, a group of people where I felt I belonged. And candidly, I really had not found that my whole life. I'm going to end up crying here. I apologize. So, this is why I continue writing on Medium, is because I met people like you who keep me going. So,
Aw. You know what?
I hope that was a good answer.
That was an excellent answer. And honestly, I've had the same experience with Medium. I've been a writer for, I think, closing in on 15 years, and it's a lonely venture. It's a lonely job.
Yeah.
Most people are doing it from home by themselves. Um, you don't necessarily have colleagues. You might have clients. You might have a boss, depending on how you've structured your career. But it can be a really lonely experience. And I'd actually never met another writer doing the kind of things that I was doing
Oh, wow.
before until I joined Medium, which I think is why I fell in love with the platform so much, and why I've just really dug my teeth into it. Which I
'Cause you're
think is
like an
probably
actual,
accurate because some people think I have fangs.
because you're like an actual professional writer. I mean, you've made your career. Well, I mean, you have like an apartment, right, or whatever. You have a place where you live and a painting behind you. Those don't just fall into your life. I mean, unless you're in a hotel. I suppose that could be, but I don't think you
No,
are.
this is one.
Right.
Yeah, it's a professional career for me. Medium has been a different venture for it because I've always written just for
Right.
clients. Like for me, it's a job. Writing is a job like anything else. I have clients, they say, we want you to write something like this, or I pitch some ideas based on their vertical, but it's a job like any other. And it's like the way that I'm a professional writer, it's a transactional thing.
Mm,
I sell my time for money, like a hooker, but just a literary hooker. Um,
sure.
and,
Like
and,
like
and
a
that's,
hooker, but the only thing going in your mouth is a pen, as you think, right? Are you gonna
and,
you're gonna
and
edit
Diet
that
Coke.
part out? Okay. The only Coke you get, the only thing that goes in your mouth, that part's being edited out, no doubt.
don't, don't make me laugh and have the Coke come out my nose. Oh, okay, we went off track. Anywho, yeah, so I found the same thing, and another cheesy way to put it, and people have said stop saying it like this, is I found my tribe on Medium, and I think a
Hmm.
lot of people did, and it
No, that's exactly it. Yes.
yeah, and I think as content creators, and in your case as well, thought leadership, and that it's really important to be surrounded by people who are doing the same thing.
Right.
There's a vibrancy and sort of a synergy and whatever other corporate buzzword I can throw in there about being around other writers and being around other
Yes.
creators. It really
Yes.
does
Very
help
much so.
stimulate something, and it makes the experience so much more enjoyable than
Right.
doing it alone. So I hear you when you say you never found anything like that before. I hadn't either. Honestly,
Do,
same.
do you see Medium then as I mean, you brought up a hobby. Because you have clients, I think, still, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Okay. So, do you see Medium as kind of like a hobby, or just like and leave it at that? I don't know how else to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think I kind of see it as both.
Mm,
I'm not making full time income on it, as we
sure.
discussed before at
Yeah.
length. Um, so I'm not making full time income on it. I am making some income, which is nice, and I would love to transition into full time content creator for myself and not for other
Right.
people, but I'm not there yet. So for me, in that sense, it is a bit of a hobby, or maybe even just a side hustle that I just really enjoy. I think of it that way because I do have so much fun doing it. Like, this is the best fucking time I've had writing in a long time
Right.
because I can write
Right.
about whatever I want,
Hmm.
which is really exciting because in my career that's not generally how it goes. And for most writers, most people who are paid to write are not, a book author on the New York Times best-selling list. That's a fraction of the fraction. Like that's like Hollywood, where there's 100,000 actors trying to make it for every A or B list celebrity out there, right?
Right.
So for most of us, it's it's a job, but medium is kind of like my writing dessert. So I think
Ooh, I
that's why
like
maybe I
that.
think of it, I guess, as a bit of a hobby, even though it is something I want to get more and more into, and hopefully become full time with. What about you? How are you looking to leverage Medium?
Like, what am I looking to get out of it? Thought leadership is a big part of it, but like, what's the word I want to use here? What would
Writers
convince
at
me?
loss for words.
You're right. I know. Isn't that great? What would convince somebody like me, though, to to think that I could give up? I mean, because like software, the the
I knew what you
stereotypical. That's good enough. This is what editors are for.
meant.
Um,
Exactly.
so the stereotypical software person is somebody who cannot communicate, right? I mean, it's stereotypical. He's the guy who's living in his mother's basement. He eats Cheetos and drinks Mountain Dew, and at 2 in the morning on a Friday night, he's debugging the Linux kernel. Things. This is what software people are perceived to be. It's not true. In some cases, it's true, but what I was going to ask you, and I'll answer my own question as well too, because like I said, it plays into where I wanted to go. Um, like how what I ended up figuring out was that the things that I did worked for this. I mean, I started off in chemistry as a chemist, but I had to write like academic journals, which incidentally are not typically that interesting. Not mine. Um, really none. There's no academic journal that you go, dang, that was a good story. Um, it was the nature of the medium. Uh, so that had helped because it was the ability to sort of put together a thought in a thought process, right? To go down and to have a set of steps and get to a conclusion. But then software actually bolstered that, believe it or not, and the ability to go down, take a set of steps to get to a conclusion. And then as a manager, like I had to interact with people, and so I don't really see anything that I did as a waste of time because like I think they all contributed to my ability to communicate, however, whatever that ability is. I'm not trying to make any comments around it. But I was going to ask you, because I've done a bunch of other things that I think contribute. But I think about if you come out of college, like I know you were a journalism and psychology major, I think, right? There was the fat lot of good that did, right?
Journalism and political science. So,
Oh, political
probably
science. Oops,
science,
I'm
so
sorry.
even more useless.
That's that's right. Kamala Harris, by the way, was a political science major. Just what I pointed out.
That makes more sense, though.
Yeah, like if your mother ever goes, poli sci, what are we going to do with that? You could go on, I could be vice president. What do you think? You
Well,
know,
I was going to be a globe-trotting journalist,
right?
but
Exactly.
that didn't pan out.
So, but I'm curious, like, like, I know what contributed to now at this point to my ability to make a point, and there are people right now going, Amy, you've taken like 7 minutes at this point and still haven't made the point. Well done. Like, how did you learn to do that? I mean, because you write an article and you have sections, things in italics, you've got images, lots of things that go into writing. I learned that, but through science. I'm curious how you learned that. Do you learn that as a journalism major? That was the whole point, folks.
Um,
Yes. No other
yeah, I
point.
mean, you learn how to take your research and turn that into more specific notes, and then turn that into the format of an article, and
Okay.
then write it out. Um,
Like
and
what
you,
I learned.
yeah, and you do learn the importance of other media like images.
Okay.
and things like that. So yeah, we did certainly learn about that, but I think a lot more of that came over time because when I was in journalism school, this was 20 years ago, and you know, the internet was just taking off. People were
Right.
still figuring out if it was going to be big or not.
Right.
Spoiler, it was. Um,
I think Google,
so
though, had been founded by
yeah,
2003. So,
yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah. Facebook was still just mainly college kids at that time.
oh gosh, I
Um,
didn't know it was around in 2003. Crazy.
yeah, it had just sort of made it out of Harvard and was making it around sort of
Hmm.
college and university. So it was mainly a lot of students at that time when I joined Facebook. So
Sure.
that was sort of the beginning of everything. So that's a time reference for where I was. So things have changed quite a bit. However, the basic principles of creating a story and using media are the same.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
just evolve as time goes by.
It's right. There's kind of a right. There's kind of a you learn by doing. You learn by doing it wrong. I guess is really the thing. You learn by doing it wrong, and you read an article and you go, "Wow, I made no point. I'm throw that one away." So to return to the question you asked, which was what do I want to get out of Medium? Since I went into it with no expectations, I'm trying not to keep any more. I'm trying not to build up any expectations. You had made the point that you wish this could be a full time profession, content creation, but you're also talking video and audio content, I believe. So I ended up seeing Medium. I think I always saw Medium as being a stepping stone. I didn't know where the stepping stone would go. I figured it would be I'd start publishing something. Well, no, here was what my dream was. I'd publish a few articles, and then somebody would come along and go, "Here, here's $1 million a year job, just being you." And I go, "I could probably do that, right? I'm well qualified." And they go, "Yes, right. You are now professional Amethysta." But that hasn't happened, and it's probably not going to happen. So,
Safe
I
bet.
but
Yeah.
thank you. At least I'm a realist. But I don't expect it to go anywhere. And as stupid as that sounds, I think that's part of the reason why I continue writing. Because if I had like a really good goal in place, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to go, "What, didn't you send me a message this morning, or maybe it was yesterday? Oh, I don't have a plan. Where am I going with my life?" But I think if I had like an actual goal, if I were like, well, I want to make sure that this point gets made, I would just plan it all out, and then I wouldn't, I'd finish it, and then I go, okay, now what else? What am I going to go do with my time? I think actually not having a goal has fueled me through 10 months. Because I got to tell you, I mean, 10 months of writing, I guess I didn't expect it when I quit my real full time job. I don't want to say real. When I quit my full time job, I was like, is this going to work? And I thought I'm going to look at this in like 3 months and go, it didn't work. I'll go back to the consulting company. But I don't know. It keeps on. It's not necessarily that I've gotten huge, because certainly I haven't. Because I'm not making any money on Medium either. But I don't know. I don't want to say here's where I want to go, because when I get there, I'm going to be disappointed, because then I'm going to have to find another goal. So I don't know if that went anywhere.
Yeah, you know, I really like that point about not making super well laid out plans and goals. I think that's sort of the same thing that I've done. Like, I got a medium just for fun, but now I'm starting to realize some of the possibilities
Mm-hmm.
that can come out of it,
Yeah.
and exploring growth and new ventures and how to tie other things in with it as well. For example, you're a busy lady. You've got your Medium, you've got your podcast, you've got the YouTube, you've also got some other things in the works. Like you had an article published on what was it? It was a big site you got published on recently. I read the article and I can't remember where
Oh,
it was. You were
the new
featured on it.
school. thing. Yeah, well, there's a Nasdaq thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a.
yeah. You've had a couple of opportunities like that come out.
Mhm.
Um, so it seems like you're doing quite a bit. Even if you haven't
Yeah,
necessarily nailed it down exactly where it's going, you're getting traction and sort of figuring out what to do with it from there.
I think of it as throwing a lot of darts. And
Yeah.
I mean, you and I had a conversation about this, just about writing becoming a professional writer uh, in general. Where I don't know how that sentence started, so I couldn't end it. But we had a conversation about just how to become a writer at all, and it was you just throw a lot of darts. I don't know why I'm throwing with my left hand, because even though I'm left-handed, I throw right-handed. So, and I don't really throw darts, um, except as a writer. And I see the value in it. Yeah, there have been some darts that landed pretty close to a bullseye, and I went, "Hey, fabulous!" Um, and at the same time, it just seems like it's what you got to do. There's fun in that, though. And I mean, you brought it up in an article even about you end up making sort of one pitch, but then you tune it for about 100,000 clients, however many you send it out to. And there's a little bit of fun in trying to go, well, I want to say the same message 100,000 different ways. How do I do, or at least I think that is has some fun to it. Because I mean, how do you end up keeping engaged then for this? Like, well, what do you have an end goal in sight?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my end goal is to transition to becoming a full time content creator for myself as opposed to for my clients. Hopefully, they're not watching.
I just wanted
Um,
you to say no, though. I want let's just go. No,
well,
not really. I'm just gonna keep making videos with you.
well, I'm sure we'll have lots of different chats and podcasts
There you
and
go.
everything in the
Perfect.
future.
Thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, I think I have sort of a loose goal and a loose plan to get there, although it does seem to pivot occasionally as well. Yeah, I do have a goal overall.
Okay.
Um, but I think in the meantime, I'm just having a really great time on Medium. Like I have a lot of
Yeah.
fun with my writing because I get to curse and make up
Right.
words like cuntopotamus and twat waffle
The red
and
twat
all that,
waffle was another good.
and
Yeah.
and I get to have so much fun. So for me, that's worth it. Even as I figure out sort of how I'm gonna springboard this into the next opportunity. Um, and 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 I think just from reading your work, I've seen that you've been having some fun and sometimes some maybe catharsis from your writing. How
Oh
would you
yeah.
describe sort of the personal side of it, taking the career element out of it for anybody who
Oh
is either going to do both or only just wants to write just to get their story out?
right. Oh, there's originally I started writing just because after I mean, let me try this again. Because like 2 weeks into slapping the patch on my ass, uh, I felt so much better that I thought I got it. I've got to find somebody. I was shaking people on the street. Hey man, listen, look, I feel better. And the guys can get off of me. I don't even. Who the hell are you? And I didn't have purple hair then, and so the name didn't make sense, and it was a hard
If you
time.
if you had purple hair, the guy probably would have been like, "Oh, I get it now."
Right, exactly. If I look, I feel better. Would have gone. Wait, oh well, the hair. Yeah, I can see the whole thing, but he's right now, far, far away. So I got to move away from Colorado. They shake you in Colorado. Don't go to Colorado. He's telling people anybody. It's not true. I only shake a few people. Um,
And babies,
God.
obviously not. You have children.
Right, very true. Well, only one, because the
Oh yeah.
other we don't need to talk about. So you're making me need to use a handkerchief. All right. So your question was the distinction between like professional and personal writing. For me, they mixed. It's the same because I'm writing about my experience. Now that being said, sometimes my experience is something I think somebody would want to read, And then sometimes I think that my experience is something that could educate more people than just like, one. Um, I guess, to make that more clear, I've written lots of content. I've had lots of content on just, wow, I feel like hell. Here's an article. And then people go, oh, Amy, I'm sorry you feel like hell. And I go, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Now I don't feel like hell. And then I write articles, original gender theory, identity theory um, articles. And I think many people go, oh, Amy, can you go back to feeling crappy so that I can read something interesting again? But they all play into, what I want to do is where I'm going. So um, I don't know if that answered the question. There are
Yeah,
definitely
ele-
there are
elements of
definitely
both to it.
aspects of yeah, yes. There are
Yeah.
definitely parts of writing that help me process pain, whether that's current or whether that's past pain. Um, I don't know if there's any. I've written in a journal for a long time. I guess 18 years at this point. My gosh, 18 years, and I'll tell you this story here too. Because I was involuntarily committed, like you do, and I
As you
thought,
do.
boy, I should probably, yeah. Well, some people do. It's people like I am, and I thought, wow, I want to. This is not like persist for posterity, but I thought I want to be able to talk to myself and because being involuntarily, like going to a psychiatric ward, like I don't
Really been.
really, yeah, I mean, like I'm not recommending it, I mean, if you need it, please go, don't misunderstand,
I,
but like
I,
nobody's gonna go.
I've heard the grippy socks are fantastic.
They are really nice, right? Because they don't want you to fall. If you run really fast, you can bonk your head, and then they go, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do with insurance?" So it's not that I recommend going to a psych ward, but um, when you do that, like there's generally a reason, and I mean, just be blunt about that. There was a reason, and I thought if I start writing to myself, I'll find that reason. And my journal has changed over the years from being this really big. It was just a bitch fest. Really, that's all it was. For a long time, all I did was go, God, I hate Jim. How come Jim's a jerk? Jim called me, Jim said my butt was fat today. Jim never said that. So, Jim, if you're out there, I know you didn't say it. But that was
Well,
all I did.
I'm already invested. We hate Jim. I got it.
Right. Jeez. So, Jim's okay. He was all right. I don't have more than, I don't know, 6 or 8 volumes, about Jim. Nothing like A4 paper. No more than 6 or 8 volumes. It's so he. Oh, sorry for in Freedom paper sizes. That's 8.5 by 11. Yeah, sorry. I forget. We're talking to the rest of the world too. Um, I'm in the rest of the world. What the hell? Anyway, the point is just
Us
that
crazy metric system
yeah,
users.
there. It's weird. Why would you even? It's things that make sense. Why would you do that?
I
Anyway,
know.
sorry. Go back to it.
Why would you not measure things in bald eagles?
Bald eagle wingspans. That's what it is. Bald eagle feet is what. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I wrote to myself. It was very valuable. At some point, my journaling even shifted from just going, "Wow, everything really sucks," to "Why does everything suck?" And believe it or not, that's kind of difficult because I said, "Why does everything suck?" And I thought and thought and thought and realized, the finger pointed, directly at me, and I went, "Oh God, that sucks," you know, because I think most of us cause most of our problems, and I think it's a rare thing that somebody else causes like the problems in our lives. So, but then my
I
journal
agree.
turned to that. And I think that what I do now has that element to it. To be able to say, here is something, here is pain that I feel, and here is me taking responsibility for it. Um, and the more sciencey theoretical stuff is similar, but tries to take responsibility for the pain in my life in sort of an explicative way. I think that's a word, right? That I want to say there's a reason why this pain occurred, and here is what it was. And so, um, anyway, that was a really long-winded answer just to say that, yeah, writing helps. Just get it out.
Well, we are a wordy bunch, aren't we?
A bit. But I've wondered, because I asked you this once. I said, "How come?" I don't know if I asked you, but I think I was like, "Wow, you should write a story." I can't even remember what it was. You told me something, and I was like, "Gosh, you should write a story about that." And you go, "Nah, I don't. I don't write about myself." Why? Your stories were we talked for an hour on and I heard nothing about your story. It sounds phenomenal and fascinating, and other things that begin with "fa." Why don't you write about yourself?
I guess I just always find other things more fascinating than myself.
Oh, that was a cop out.
Well, like right now, I'm writing a story called brackets. I'd fuck Tim Denning. So without the brackets, it's fuck Tim Denning. About all the things I learned from taking his webinar,
Oh
and I
my god.
found his story a lot more interesting than my own. So I read about stuff like that. And
Sure.
he's a hot little Aussie.
He is kind of good looking. If he sees this, yeah, hopefully he does and just goes, yeah, like holds his lapels. I don't really have lapels, but if he does, I hope he sees it and goes, yeah, I am. Righto. I don't know. What
Yeah,
did I
he
say?
um
He what?
fucking A or something. um, he, he he
Right.
he probably wouldn't. He's actually he can be quite vulnerable in his writing, and in a lot of ways he can actually be quite insecure, including about his looks, which is one of the reasons I was writing the article, because I read one of
Mm.
his about where he didn't like his nose or something like that.
Oh, wow. I think that
Yeah,
that's going to be a good article. I wish I
it
could
should
read
be
something
interesting.
about how you don't like certain things. But I what? Oh, I can read it. Yes, I know.
But yeah, so I guess I just find things like that more interesting than my own stories. I've heard all my own stories,
Sure.
even if no one else
But
has.
I mean, don't you feel any pain? Don't you feel anything you need to get out? Or you just don't publish that? Is that the
Um, no. Um, Pretty good at the moment. I've done
wow?
quite a bit of work on myself. I'm in a pretty
Yeah.
good place. I'm 40 now, so I mean, it took a while to get here. Um, but I'm in a pretty good spot. So other than sort of minor irritations, I don't let a lot of stuff bother me. As at as we discussed when I was on your podcast, um, I've really pushed a lot of boundaries and comfort zones. So now, not a lot of
Oh
things bug
yeah,
me. Or maybe
it's
I'm completely
impressive.
apathetic and my feelings have turned off. I don't know.
It could be. It could just be you're a sociopath. Yeah.
There's that.
In which case, because wheels are turning now. In which case, next time I'm at the psych ward, I can see like maybe we can get a room next door for you, right?
No,
Just a thought.
I think, I think I have too much empathy for others
I know
to be a
that.
psychopath. I think I've just scared the shit out of myself so many times that things don't bug
Yeah,
me as much as they used to.
yeah. But
Yeah.
wouldn't that be a great podcast? Notes from the psych ward or something like that.
Oh,
You know, come.
I'd listen to or watch that for sure.
I know, right? Hey, here we are in the psych ward, right? They're like, oh, hang on, hang on. Yeah, they were coming with the hoses. I didn't want to get my microphone wet. I'm okay, guys. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm all right.
It's
All
like,
right, they're
ooh,
coming with the rubber
ooh,
mallets. Hang on a sec.
ooh, blueberry flavored beds today.
Right, exactly. Hang on, I'm going to turn off my video for a moment because they're coming with the rubber mallets. Okay, I'm okay. Just yeah, just one moment. Okay, I'm going to turn off my. It could be a good podcast.
We could film it in a padded room. I'd imagine the acoustics in there are
Mm-hmm.
fantastic for recording.
Probably.
It's like a recording studio.
Right.
Foam
Pretty
walls.
close. Pretty close. Yes. Yes. And if you have a hard time getting a thought out, it's okay. You can just hit your head on one of the walls, and I think I got the thought out.
So you've been the recipient on Medium of multiple boosts. And for anyone watching who doesn't know what a boost is, it's this new program for Medium where they select what they consider the creme de la creme of writing, some of the top quality stories on the platform, and they literally give them a boost. They push them out to a bunch more readers than would normally see it. So it goes beyond your followers and the followers of that publication, and then random smattering of whoever else happens to see it. But you've got multiple of them. How does that feel? How have you found that experience?
So the first, well, I'll tell you this: when I had a friend, one of the people who is sort of a mentor to me, and she's stopped, publishing on Medium too often, but she used to tell me about, hey, they have, I think it was called distributed. Is that what the
Yeah, the old one. Yeah,
okay? So she said, oh, I got another thing distributed, and I was like, oh, look at you. Um, and I never had that, so that would have been for, well, I guess about 5 months, right? I don't know, of 5 6 months. When I got that first boost, I went, oh my gosh. It was June 1st, I guess, was the day I got that first boost. And I went, oh my gosh, that was absolutely nothing more than a publicity ploy because I wrote a sort of somewhat controversial sounding article on the first day of Pride Month, and that was the first thing that got boosted. Perhaps I'm
coincidental
pessimistic,
timing.
you know. So, part of me kind of went, oh, yeah, they're doing this because, it's Pride Month and they're going to boost Pride
Yeah,
things. And I had
trans.
something that, right, right. There was like, I had something that didn't sound very prideful, so very proud, whatever. So I don't know. How did it feel? All of the articles that have been boosted, and I think I've had, I don't know if it's 4 or 5. I think it's 4. Maybe it's 5. That doesn't make a difference. All of them, in my opinion, there was one that I thought was well done out of 4 or 5. So I have continued to look at the boost as something that makes me go, it's like a dice roll. I don't think it brings up necessarily um, good writing. Doesn't always have to have good writing. That is, and so that's how that feels. I don't. I feel like I sound really um, ungrateful, and I
I'd
am.
say more
But
self-deprecating and hard on yourself because I think
so
those posts
okay.
were pretty good.
Oh well, thank you. Okay. I mean, I appreciate that. I guess it's just like at the end of it. So July, what month are we in? Are we in August? Yeah, I guess so. So
We're
last
in
month,
August now.
um, yeah, last month was the biggest month I ever had, and for me right now, big month means a couple $100. Like if I had a used car, I could probably make a car payment. Uh, took 10 months worth of writing, and it took 2 boosts in July to get $200. So like to a certain extent, I go, yeah, great, I got boosted. That's awesome. And there was one that was pissed off Christians, and so that one got a whole lot of interaction or engagement. That's what we call it. Sorry, engagement. So
Oh, I'll
I
bet.
don't know.
Bet it did.
Oh, did it ever? Yeah, you talk about Christianity as a transgender person. You're yeah. So a
Yeah.
couple $100. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really, I go back and forth on this. It's like I'm happy that somebody's reading my articles, and at the same time I kind of go, but this is, if this is like the big prize to be boosted, why am I making $200? I think I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, for for the people watching, the boosts do come in different sizes. So some of them are boostier than others. Um, so that makes a difference. But also with the new earnings calculations that Medium is using, that started on the first of this month, so just 3 4
Yes,
days ago. The boosts get a multiplier on them. So I think now your boosted
true.
posts are going to earn a lot more than they did before. So there's that.
So
Something to look forward
assuming
to.
so, well, right. But see, the funny thing is, I mean, and certainly you and I have had plenty of conversation around this. Part of the reason why I started doing podcasts and then YouTube videos, and now I'm looking at other opportunities, is because the boost has helped me when I've got it. And I believe pretty strongly, and I believe you concur, that the boost is also taken. If you don't get a boost, you have lost you've lost being promoted. People are seeing you less. And so while getting the boost has been boosting for my ego, oh, sorry. Um, don't, yeah. Um, it's also inspired me to make sure that I diversify the channels through which I publish. Sounded very managerial. I apologize for that, but that's really how I talk. So,
That's a that's a good way to phrase it.
because you have not been boosted, right? I mean, as of whatever August 4th, you still have not. Good God.
No, and realistically, I don't think I will be. But I know that based on what I write, they're not going to boost my article talking about fucking Tim Denning
Sure. Sure.
or me calling myself a twat waffling thunder cunt.
Right.
But
Oh, that one I hadn't heard.
oh, that might be upcoming. But
Oh,
I mean, I could not do that. I don't do that for my writing at work, but I have a lot of fun doing it, and my readers love it, so it doesn't bother me
yeah. Yeah.
that 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 I don't
Right.
get boosted. It'd be nice, but it doesn't really bother me
Mm-hmm.
because
But I mean, you
I
also
think I
have.
think I think it's not the
Go
only
ahead. Sorry.
way to. I think it's not the only way to be seen on Medium. It's definitely, I think, one of the. I don't want
Right.
to say easy because it's not easy to get a boost, but one of the best ways to get sort of out there on Medium and get people reading your work and following you.
Right.
I think it definitely is one of the best ways, and people should be trying for that. This is more of a do as I say, not as I do scenarios. Because I
Yeah.
won't change how I do it because I like it and my readers like it. So it's not the only avenue, and
Right.
I'm going to be taking a different one. But I think it is a great avenue for most writers on Medium, and I think you are lucky to have your talent recognized um, by the Boost
I
team. By the
Yeah.
Boost team.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. It's just.
But you are right about finding other ways to do it as well because
Yeah.
it's not the only way to do it on the platform. There are different publications you can get into to get your name more out there. And so I
Yeah.
agree that while it's great, there's definitely other things you need to do as well.
Yeah. No. Agreed. I mean, and for what it's worth, I mean, you have more than an order of magnitude greater followers than I do. Not that I'm counting, of course. But if you see this video, feel free to go at Amethysta on Medium and follow me because I can always use more. But you have more than an order of magnitude more followers, so I'm guessing that that means more readers, right?
Theoretically, yeah.
Only theoretically. Dang.
Um, no, I, I can pull in a greater amount of readers from my followers than somebody with less followers. That's not to say every post
Yeah,
does super well, but I think that the
true,
potentiality
true.
is there.
Yeah. I don't, I've considered, let me run an idea past you. Because I've considered, because you had twat waffle, but then cuntopotamus. And I've wondered, because like, it
As
seems
you,
like, it seems like cunt cake. Yeah. Well, right, as you do. But I thought maybe like twat waffles and cunt cakes makes, but maybe that becomes my little
ooh,
thing.
that's
Could
good.
you should you think so? Okay.
That's good, but you had to say it here. Now I can't even take credit for it.
That's a good point. Because you could. What about cuntia? Right, there's that too. Except the tor is the cake part.
That
Doesn't work.
the possibilities are endless. The twatabilities are
They really
endless.
are. The I love the malleability of language. There you go. This is why we continue to make up crazy words. Yeah.
Any, anyway, I've already taken up quite a bit of your time, so I just want to get at one more
Mm,
question. Um,
sure, sure.
what what would you what would you say to anybody who's thinking about writing on Medium, thinking about starting writing in general? Um, what advice would you give them that you wish you'd been given yourself?
Hmm. Let me answer your first question first, because you said what would you tell a new writer, and I have actually told three people. I think three people in the last week. Go make a Medium account and just start writing. So it's not that I don't. It's not that they dislike Medium. I think Medium is still an exceptional place to get your feet wet. What's the phrase they use? Cut your teeth. What does that mean, by the way? Can you cut teeth?
I don't know. Is it for like vampires or something? File them down? I don't know.
Maybe.
Get your
I
feet
don't
wet,
know.
cut your
Oh, you
teeth.
know what?
Yeah.
I have a thought, and somebody's going to write in and go, "What? Are you a complete idiot?" I think it actually means like the teeth coming out of the gums, like it's cutting the gums. Maybe. I'm going to move on. Who the hell knows? So I still think Medium is an excellent platform because you can really just write, and you can send off things to your mom. I don't care who it is, your mom, your brothers and sisters, your friends. You can say, hey, look, I'm published. So I think that's phenomenal. As far as advice, I mean, I have to tell you, I don't think I even take my own advice. um, Writing on publications, I think, is important. i believe I wanted to wait 2 months of writing my own content before I went to a publication. And I don't actually. There was no good reason for that. Well, there was a reason. Sorry, what I said, there was no good reason. There was a reason, which is that I just want to make things hard on myself, and I consistently,
That's a
when
reason.
something's going well, yeah, I want to make sure to sabotage everything as much as I can. So, so I don't know why that is. If I were to offer advice, don't do that. Don't sabotage yourself. There's no good reason. But publications are a very publications are great because I could have gotten like free editing advice. You know, I might point out new
That's
writers welcome free editing advice. There you go.
yeah.
Um,
That's a huge one that I really love about Medium for people who are just getting into writing, is that you get
yeah,
free editorial advice. And I'm an editor, and you're an editor, and there's tons out there who are volunteering their time and expertise to give you free advice that in the real world, not the medium's not the real world, but eh, um, in the real world, people have to pay for. You have to pay somebody to
right,
edit your
right.
stuff. So, and you get that for free. And that's such an important part of the process and a tool to really improve your writing much quicker than you could with practice alone.
Right. On the note of the real world, because I will say the I think the distinction would be like at Medium, it feels like a community, and for the most part, it's not like, hey, your writing sucks, get the hell off Medium. I mean, I've seen a little bit of that, but not much. If you submit something to a publication, you're getting editorial feedback that's going to be coming from a place of, I want to make you better. I hope that you are a better writer. And if you pay for editors, the editors are going to tear you apart. They're going to be like, hey, you're paying me. I want to make sure
Yeah.
that you feel as low as possible so that I can maximize my pain per dollar per freedom currency, ratio.
Or,
So
or, or if they're only in it for the money, they just pump you up too much and don't edit enough. Don't use the red pen enough, and they use too much of the nice stick.
does does that happen? I didn't.
I hope not,
Oh my god.
but I can
I
imagine if you didn't have a really experienced editor, they might spend too much time softening the blow.
Yeah,
Um,
right. That's a good point. Gosh, I hadn't considered that.
because
Well, throws
because
my
it's
theory
hard
out.
getting editorial feedback on something that you've written. It really is, but it's part of the
Hmm.
process, and it's how you get better.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there were. Yeah, I look back at some of my very early things before, I started getting some editorial feedback. Before I was, before more people were looking at anything that I wrote, and I mean, I look back at some of the stuff and I just cringe. I just go, "Oh, geez, did I really?" Because every sentence had a "that" in it. Spoiler here. About half the time, at least half the time, your use of the word "that" is unnecessary. And once it was pointed out to
Superfluous.
me, once or twice, yeah, once it was pointed out to me once or twice, I saw it everywhere, and I'm like, "Ooh, I want to pull it out of here, pull it out of here, pull it out of there." Just that, not other things. But I'm not sure where that was going. So that wasn't. Those were two valid uses of the word "that," but so there are certain things that, um, adjectives was another huge. Sorry, adverbs was another huge thing that I thought, well, of course, everybody wants to use adverbs. I think I just said hugely, so there's an adverb for you. But that was another thing that I thought, well, everybody loves adverbs, right? And then started looking at how I used them, and oh gosh, I want to say I got this from Stephen King, and I can't recall. Stephen King, who, by the way, I mean, I respect as a fiction writer, as an author, fiction author. Like oftentimes his writing is kind of, eh, and he can't stick an ending to save his life. I don't know what happened to you, Steve, but geez, write a good ending once in a while. Um, oh, adverbs. Yeah, he hates adverbs, so he says never use an adverb, and would say that they usually turn out to be Swifties, like Tom Swift things, I think is what it was called. And I remember these from like way the hell back. You said 2000 was pretty far back, Remember when Nixon was inaugurated for the second time? I mean, I
Nope.
don't because I was 4, but yeah, see, not like I remember. But my point was just that there were jokes as soon as oh dang, now I'm not going to be able to come up with you have a fine bottom, he said cheekily. That's one of them. Uh, I think Stephen King uses that one. Anyway, adverbs, they always end up sounding like that. So, free editorial advice. Once you get that, you start seeing it all over the place, and you go, "Oh, I take that out, I rewrite that, I revise that, I take
Yep.
this." What do you mean? You start seeing like advertising slogans. It kills me to see like advertising slogans and go,
Yeah.
"What the flying hell? Who wrote that?" So,
Yeah. When you start getting editorial feedback, it's not just for that article. Like, you start thinking about it, and I think part of that is
right.
because it can be such a hard blow that you remember it and you start
Mm-hmm.
applying it without maybe even consciously thinking about it. And I think that's because the editorial
Yes.
process can be so rough sometimes.
Right. Right. but it's so helpful, you know,
It is helpful. Yeah.
because there's an old maxim that you can't. I can't think of how it goes. You can't manage what you don't measure. But if you don't have a
Oh,
measuring stick, if you don't have a
mhm.
measuring stick, you can't even start there. And that's why editors are
Yeah.
so valuable, is because those are people with the measuring stick so that you can start managing it. So that, I think that would be my final my final bit of advice. Get somebody else to look at your writing and go, "Hey, this was terrible. It's going to hurt. It's going to help."
Awesome. Great advice. All right. Well, I've already taken almost like an hour of your time. Um, Thank you so much for joining me, and for having me
Thank
on your
you.
podcast previously as well. Um, we went a little bit off tangent sometimes, but I think we got some good stuff out, especially about your medium journey, which I find really interesting and unique because it's not everybody's, the way sort of you're going about it. But I think that's also another thing I love about medium is that everybody is so unique, and the story the story or stories that they have to share and how they're approaching it, and if they're just writing once in a blue moon, or if they're writing rather prolifically on medium, everybody is so different, and I think that's one of the things that I really love about it.
I agree
and
with you. Yeah.
and yours
I
is
think
interesting.
yeah, I think the ability to see, the potential of 100 million writers is that. I hate to use the word diversity because it sounds, somewhat managery. I can't buzzwordy is what you said before, but that diversity helps
Synergistic.
to be able to see. What's that?
Synergistic.
Yeah, right. The synergy of the, what the hell word did I use? Oh, the synergy of the diversity. You can leverage that in your own. I'll pencil something in for with my people, but um, the point though is that you can go from reading like a Tim Denning to you know trying to come up with somebody who really like hits me. Like a friend of mine named Saoirse writes very emotional stuff. Fiona Evangeline Lee is another person. Think of her as like a modern day Blake or WB Yeats because she's Irish, so it's you get that too. But to see such a spectrum of styles is very influential. Um, that you don't get just from writing your own stuff over and over. Reading a bunch of other stuff is also huge. So even after you said goodbye, I kept talking. I can't, you're not going to get rid of me. I'll stop.
I I I never want to.
Okay. Thank you. This is why we're still friends.
but but for now, I'll stop taking up so much of your time. But thank you so much. This was fantastic, and you made my first session of the interview series very easy, since we just gab.
Right. Well, thank you, Robin. I appreciate that you invited me. It means a lot.
All right, I super appreciate it, and we'll probably talk very soon. And for anybody who hasn't checked it out yet, I'm going to put Amethysta's Medium profile and podcast and YouTube channel below in the description, so that you can check out some of the different platforms that she's working on as well.
Thanks. I appreciate that too.
All right, thank you so much, and I will see you very soon. All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.